I'm Bill Good, and welcome to those of you joining us this morning on the Chorus Radio Network. Funds from Health Canada have run out for the Rainier Hotel Addictions Treatment Program for women. The program offers addictions and clinical treatment to women in the downtown eastside over a longer term and focuses on former sex trade workers. As they progress in their treatment, the women transition from the treatment program to the housing and career assistance program while still receiving clinical support. Mark Townsend is director of the Portland Hotel Society, which manages the hotel. Brenda is a resident of the hotel, and Claire Haxel is a community-based researcher contracted by the Center for Excellence in HIV/AIDS to co-investigate and evaluate the Rainier Women's Treatment Program. And I welcome all to the program, and I'll start with Mark Townsend. Give me a little bit more of an overview on this story and what the funding is running out January 3rd.
Well, I mean, first of all, Bill, it's a sad story. I'm sure lots of your listeners have heard about the injection site or the distribution of crack pipes or needle exchange, and we're involved in all those things. And sometimes we get criticized that, that's all we're involved in, but the media doesn't often really want to cover treatment beds because in a sense they're kind of boring. But as we've been doing all those other things, we were also very proud of the fact that we managed to cobble together, cajole, produce around 70 treatment beds. The Rainier Women's Treatment Centre is one of those examples. We were very, very lucky that the provincial government, through the Premier, provided $10 million to buy this building, renovate it, make it suitable for its purpose as a women-only treatment centre. Then the federal government gave some one-time-only money, about $5 million, to run it for 4 years. As everyone knows, the federal government doesn't do healthcare, and the commitment and the obligation that Vancouver Coastal Health made is that they would provide the ongoing funding once the federal government one-time only money disappeared. And that's now something they're reneging on. That's something that a few days ago they came to the women and basically said, well, as of 5 days from now, this program, as you know, is ending. We're going to keep some clinical things in place, but we're going to gut really what we see as the heart and soul out of this program. So it was a very depressing day, and we really want to kind of bring it to the public's attention and to the Premier and the Minister of Health's attention to kind of make sure this rather foolish bureaucratic mistake doesn't happen. Sometimes dealing with the bureaucracy, it means well, but sometimes I feel like I'm in a room with this giant hippo, and it runs around and does bizarre things, and this is a very bizarre thing.
Brenda, tell me what this facility has meant to you.
A couple of years ago, I've been out of the downtown east side for almost 20 years, and a couple of years ago my life blew up, and I ended up back down here, and I had never been involved in harm reduction. 20 years ago, that wasn't what was going on. I so get it now. When I went into detox, they offered me a bed at the Rainier, which I had no idea or anything about. I couldn't even, rub two thoughts together. But I ended up at the Rainier, and like I said, I've been living in my truck and on the street for a couple of years with my dog. I got a home, I got a room, I got meals, I got groups, I got medical care, I got support, I got everything I could absolutely ever want to begin the process of healing and picking my life up from the mess I'd made it after this incident. And when these people came in the other day, like it was a week before Mark was talking about, even our counselors didn't know they were coming. They sat in on a group, and just like that, they said, well, as of, I think it says December 4th, this is ending. There will be no more food. There won't be any groups. It'll become an SRO, just like a whole bunch of other hotels in the downtown east side. And telling this to a bunch of traumatized women in a room with no forewarning was a nightmare. And it's just had a ripple effect of all sorts of different reactions from, people feeling betrayed, wanting to move, wanting to use again, wanting to fight, wanting to be visible, like myself, and put the call out for help. I'm part of what works there is that continuum of care. You don't just go. I used to work in this field for about 15 years, and you don't just go into some place and and get taken care of about your addiction and let loose. They don't let you go. They give you all the basic needs as well as support, so you can start the healing process, and then you can start looking at what am I going to do now, and total support around that. With low self-esteem, they build you up, and I mean, I've taken a course in carpentry. I now work at the urban farm in the downtown east side across from Save On Meats. I'm a carpenter's helper. A year ago, I had absolutely no hope and complete despair that at this age and at this stage of the game, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And here I sit today, having done it, and I'm only one of the women that have done stuff like this.
You say they came in and delivered this news. Who was they?
Well, it was some people from Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. Now, they meant well, but, I mean, obviously, even if you were to go through with such a ridiculous thing, I mean, it's crazy. If you spend $10 million opening something, you then shut it. And let's be frank, in a few weeks you'll be covering the Opals-Picton report. And clearly, I could guarantee you, in there it's going to say we need to have treatment beds for women, targeted that work for this group of women. So they need to be flexible, creative, coming from the ground. And this ultimately is, for the want of $750,000 a year, we're basically throwing a treatment centre away. When in a few weeks we know the bureaucracy will be trying to conjure up some new ones to show they're responding to the Opal report.
Coastal Health wants to know why you've not gone to Health Canada for funding, since it's Health Canada funding that's ending.
Well, I think every one of your listeners, and you know that Health Canada doesn't fund healthcare in the province. And in black and white, in the original agreement, this was some one-time only money, $5 million to cover this and some other projects for 4 years. And when it ended, in black and white, the commitment of Vancouver Coastal Health was to fund the ongoing operational costs. And obviously, the federal government wouldn't have done this had they known it would, that Brenda's going to hear a few days before it's all falling apart, that it's falling apart. And the provincial government, at the level of BC Housing and the Premier, wouldn't have spent $10 million building a facility if it was to shut. And
it seems to be what's happening.
Well, they are keeping some of the services, but the bits that matter, the bits that really matter, the bits that are the heart and soul of what every one of your listeners would understand to be a treatment program, are being ripped out. The irony of that is at the beginning of the year, the provincial government issued a press release saying they're opening some treatment beds for women, best practices, the very best we can do in this, and it lists all the things they're going to do there. This is at Heartwood at BC Women's Hospital, and all the things they're going to do there, which are best practices, evidence-based, are the things they're ripping out of this program in the downtown east side. That's very cheap. I mean, the sad thing for me is years ago when I was working SROs in the downtown east side, I remember people coming to me, women coming to me, one woman coming to me telling me a horrific story that I cannot even repeat. I haven't repeated it to this day to any other human being. And she's crying and she said, I just want to get out. I want to go to treatment. And I have nothing for her, just a shoulder to cry on. As those 20 years have gone by, things have got better. As I said, we've got some beds. And now when someone comes to me, I see a woman, they say, I say you could maybe go to the Rainier. And even if they don't go, it's hope. And for me, I've been involved in lots of, things that are bad news and all those kind of things. And I kind of try and think, why does this upset me the most? And it kind of upsets me more because it was that little bit of hope, that little grain of hope. And also what upsets me most about it is I know how very difficult it is to create these spaces, to cobble together all these bits and bobs to get treatment beds.